this might be early to ask you this, but there are so many different ways that all the different teams define scoring chances. How do the Blue Jackets define scoring chances?
It's a tough question to answer because there's a lot of different types of scoring chances. The old school way of doing it is you go out from the net to the dots and cut across in that triangle. That's obsolete right now. The way the game's played, the way the bad angle shots are taken, the way rushes come at you, or you try to create offense off of rush. Scoring chances are, it would be a great question to have 30 coaches in here and ask them, because I think every coach would look at it differently. So I guess the way I'm answering your question is I can't answer it. I'll tell you something right now, though, about scoring chances. To me, with all the analytics of the game and all the new stuff that's out there and this and that, I don't even know the names of the types of analytics. For me, nothing defines or tells the story of the game more than the scoring chances for and the scoring chances against. We do a very in-depth scoring chance. It's like a goal and an assist. We have scoring chances that way. The main scoring chance for, but who helped out maybe 20 seconds later. So all that comes into play. So it really defines the story both for and against you as far as how the game's played.
Does Brad Larson still kind of take the point on tracking those in-game?
Yeah, well, Danny, we have our video coaches marking him during the game, and he'll give him to us. He may have 40 clips at the end, and that may generate maybe 16 or 17 scoring chances. Anything that looks like a scoring chance we have on tape. Lars is in charge of that. We'll discuss it, and then we put it out the next day with a definition to the players of what happened. And we want the players to come and argue with us if they felt they shouldn't have been dinged for a scoring chance against. And it creates conversation, and it creates talking about your team concept. And but nothing better defines to me the story of the game than those.
What are you willing to share about that process of, you get 40 clips, but you only agree that 16 count?
Yeah.
How does that process work?
Yeah, I sit next to Lars on the plane, and he'll elbow me, and do you think this is a scoring chance? And Shawzy's involved in it also. So it's banter. It's banter as far as what it really is. But then you sit back and you categorize them too. You can put it a neutral zone turnover, a defensive zone coverage, no back check, and you can find really where some of the strengths of your game is at that point in time in the season, or some of the weaknesses that's going on with your game. If you have a lot of scoring chances coming off the rush, then something's going wrong. Maybe it's too many turnovers. Maybe we're just not back checking and tracking back. So it really helps you define where you are, good and bad, with your game.
Players argue more that they had a scoring chance for, or that they didn't have a scoring chance against.
Oh, it's always against.
Yeah.
They're always complaining that, well, what did I do wrong? And they win some of the arguments, because that's the fun part for me, is they see the game so differently than we do as coaches, and we get a chance to learn from them also as far as how they're thinking and what they saw, both for, especially the offensive guys, when they think they should get a chance for, or maybe a helper on a chance for, they start talking about what they're saying, and I'll just look. I said, I could never even think about seeing it that way. So it's really interesting how the conversations do go.
Just talking to Allison and I were just talking about this, doing a thing on Werenski and how he worked so much this summer on his one-timer.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that was mentioned to him by John Davidson, and he sort of took it around with it. And he's to the point where he's like, it's goalie tendencies, and if this guy's going left to right, I'm shooting this way in a one-timer with all of this stuff going on.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Like, can you really process all that?
I can't even begin to even think what these guys do now. I mean, they are so elite in their thinking when it comes to that stuff that it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Right. And you pick that up when you start talking about a certain play in the game and what they see. I wouldn't even thought they would have saw that. That's what's crazy. Yeah. So, and I think that's really healthy for coaches and players when you do get into these type of conversations, because I think you understand the player. And I think you learn as a coach, too, really where the game is, where it's gone to, and what they're seeing.
That's how much they care too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I do. They don't. I'm always evaluating them and how they're going about their business. Are they just coming to the rink to get the job done on a practice day and go home? When you have more conversation or they challenge you, you can see that the player's more engaged. And I think there's some really good things you can find out as a coach, and there's some things you find out about players that really they don't care sometimes. And yeah, so this is all part of it.
You mentioned this yesterday a little bit. Do you come into camp knowing how many preseason games you want guys to play, or do the players sort of determine that as a game?
Players determine that. Like we have a couple players in tomorrow night that I didn't think they were going to even get a game, and they've had such a good camp right now. They're going to start off with a game tomorrow night. There are certainly some guys that we knew they were going to get a couple of games, but you start thinking the way they've started here, they may get more. Some guys you figure they may get a couple games, may not get any in some of their play. And yeah, so it's all, as we talked about yesterday, it's all a little bit of a process going through the 3 or 4 days of the conditioning, which is the most important thing, but also these scrimmage games to see where they're at as far as playing.
Since it's good news, can you say which of the 2 guys you didn't think were going to play a game that are in tomorrow night?
No, you have to wait. No, it'll be posted here. It'll be, do you send it out? Yeah. They're waiting for me, to post that lineup, so I'm just letting you know.
As you get ready to post that lineup and look forward to playing some games, I just wonder what you look to get now as you go into this next stretch of the preseason. It's been, heavy volume skating and competing with each other. Now that you're going to see some other faces, some other teams out there, what do you look for from these guys now as you kind of get to the next phase of the preseason?
Yeah, and you start shrinking your camp a little bit. I think after these next two exhibition games, you'll see some kids in it. Some will go back to junior. We have a pretty good idea when you play a couple of games, maybe where it splits between the National Hockey League club and the American League club. Guys going back to junior, guys that simply we're just going to let go. So that certainly comes into play, and now the team concept part of it starts coming in too. You start teaching your team concept. We'll go over the neutral zone forechecking for tomorrow night's game, some defensive zone forechecking. Again, away from the puck is something we have to start with, and that's what we're going to do. Not give them too much information, but those 2 categories tomorrow night will be talked about in the meeting.
How do you structure rosters for these games? Are you looking big picture? Are you looking right now? Like, how do you?
Me as a coach, I like giving the first few games to the management and letting them put their lineups together. They know the kids and some of the prospects that are at camp here better than I do. I can't tell in just a few of these scrimmage games. They need to look at these guys and for signing, for where it all goes. So I want them to be able to see their guys as best they can before it starts getting too late in camp. We start having to worry about just the National Hockey League team. Cleveland goes to Cleveland, we get our guys. So these few games, I think, is very important in that process.
You talk so much about wanting the focus to be on playing hard and not having a letdown based on how good last season was. Foligno looked like he was really going hard this morning.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, it's obviously huge for the captain to set a tone, but do you feel like that's been set by him?
Yeah, I know Nick told me before camp started that he's going to be selfish. He felt that really helped him last year. He just worried about himself at this time of year as far as getting prepared for another year, and he wants to double down on that. He wants to be better. And so it creates more, I've got to worry about myself right now. And the leadership and handling the team, that'll come later as we get our regular season going. But he's really looking to lead that way in as far as how hard he works, but really worried about himself and trying to get his game together.